This week is Parshas Balak. Balak was the king of Moab, and at this point in the Chumash, he is sharing a common border with the Israelite camp. And the Israelites are on the Jordan, and they have defeated the Amorite kings. And Balak has two feelings about the children of Israel. One is a feeling of hatred and loathing. The other is fear and intimidation. He does not think that he can defeat them in war by purely military means. So he enlists the aid of Bilam, who is the greatest prophet among the Goyim. Bilam, complex figure, has true love of Hashem. He can be very obedient. Nevertheless, he is vain. He is greedy. And in the final analysis, he comes to a very bad end. So, what Balak wants Bilam to do is curse the Jewish people, and he feels that if they are really cursed, then he will be able to drive them away by military force. Bilam agrees to this, and it's really against God's will. But Bilam if he was looked at it deeply, he wouldn't have agreed to it, not in the beginning, certainly not after he first asks God for his approval. But being that he tries to be slick and tricky, he goes with Balak. And what Hashem does is demand that he effectively that he is going to be forced into blessing the Jewish people in the presence of Balak and his ministers. So there are three blessings and an epilogue, and they give us some insight about what the world of the Messianic age is going to be like. The first blessing is that the children of Israel, that Israel will be the herald of the king, meaning, so to speak, that they will be the chariot of Hashem, that just like a chariot brings the rider, so to speak, when someone sees the Bnei Yisrael, or even an individual Jew, that the presence of God is going to be coming shortly after, a herald. He adds with this that there will not be any vice in the Jewish people, there won't be charlatans, they will not be prying. Okay? The second blessing is about, he gives the Jewish people a blessing of military might. They will be a lion. The first blessing says that there'll be a nation that dwells alone, so to speak, like Switzerland today. They won't be counted among the other nations. The idea is that they will be a neutral power and somewhat isolationist. They'll be available to those that want to see those that want to see them and contact them, but they won't take part in the ordinary affairs of the nations. And as a result of this, they will have peace and prosperity. The third one It begins with the famous phrase, "Mat tovu ohalaka Yaakov mishkanoseka Yisrael." How goodly are your tents of Jacob, the dwelling places of Israel. It's dwelling places refers to the synagogue, the Lashon Mishkan, tabernacle. That it's a blessing that the shuls in the homes, that they will be like gardens watered by a river. The idea of peace and prosperity. A blessing also was given that the Jews will be influential at times greatly. Mimana Yaakov, Afar Yaakov, who will count the dust of Jacob, meaning that the whoever Jacob passes on his travels he'll have an effect on them, a positive effect. You'll see a Jew, you'll get good ideas from him. And there's another one that that is more deep. So talking about, you have a conversation with a person, a heavy rap that affects a person very deeply. Then you have the development of the strength of the Jewish people being like a lion, that nobody wants to bother them, they can do what they want. The idea of independence as well. And it concludes with those that bless them will be blessed, and those that curse them will be cursed. After that, you have a more explicit prophecy of the Mashiach, where it says, Arenu v'lo ata, asherenu v'lo karov. I see him, but not now. I perceive him, but not soon. Dara kochav mi Yaakov, v'kam shevet mi Yisrael. A star, which denotes excellence, brilliance, will stride from Yaakov, and a shevet, a staff, meaning authority and dominion, will come out of Israel. After that, you have the vision of an apocalyptic battle. The concept of the Messianic age is that the world was created for the days of the Mashiach. What we are living in now is prehistory. It's just the rectification of the sin of Adam Harishon, Adam the first man, who disobeyed God's commandment not to eat from the tree of knowledge of good and evil. So now we're learning all about what is evil, among other things. There's varying ideas about what is the Messianic age. There's one of them, the most believable, is that there's no difference between the Messianic age and this age, except for Shibud Malchiyut, the bondage of the Jews to foreign nations. This would include both persecution as well as strong foreign influence. The idea is that come the Messianic age, the only real values that the Jewish people will have will be Torah values. The Rambam talks about it, and he says that there's not going to be any change in basically the way the world is. it'll be a change in values and ideas, that there will not be jealousy, there will not be hunger, there will not be war. Rather, Israel will be engaged in wisdom and Torah, and that good will flow to all people, and that luxuries will be found as much as there is dust on the ground. In terms of values, he looks at the last Mishnah in Pirkei Avot, the first chapter, that says that there are three things on which the world has kiyum, permanence, on law, basically principle, truth, and peace. And what the Rambam says is that these are the perfection of the world, that when the world reaches this, it will be in its perfect state. In terms of, he talks about the quote from Isaiah, that the wolf will dwell with the lamb, that the lion will eat straw, and the little baby will put its hand in a viper's nest and will be perfectly fine. He says that these are basically mashalim, metaphors, that we will not believe until the days of the Mashiach actually are here. There are others who take it literally and add that the resurrection of the dead will start with the days of the Mashiach, that the world in fact will be very different. If you think about the accounts of the ages of the ancients in the first chapter, in the first parsha of Bereshis, where people lived to be 900 years old and that type of thing, you see a very different world. If you think about fossils, and you think about the woolly monmouth and the woolly rhinoceros, and the Sahara was a lush area with flowing rivers and dinosaurs. You see a world that's different. You could say, well, what about carbon-14 dating? You say, well, the world was very different. We don't really understand that. In any case, it will be a happier world for the people who are humble and faithful. Like it says in the Psalm 126, Shir Amalis, the song of ascents, when Hashem will bring back the captivity of Zion, we will be like we're in a dream. Then our mouths will be filled with laughter and their tongues with joy. Then the Goyim will say, God has done great things with these people. We will say, God has done great things with us, and we will rejoice. As a prayer then, says, God, bring back our captives like streams in the desert. And some encouragement, those that sow with tears, that in the end that they will, with joy they will reap. He says a person can carry a heavy burden on his way, and they'll cry that he's dragging a heavy bag of seeds. In the end, he will certainly come carrying his sheaves.